Hello, everybody, and welcome to Angel's View. And yeah, let's get into it. It's been an interesting weekend as far as the movies and the box office. We had two films that were highly anticipated. Well, maybe one of them was highly anticipated, the other one stumbling right out of the gate. And I'm actually pretty amazed by it. So let's talk about it because we're going to speak about Masters of the Universe and Scary Movie. So I saw Masters of the Universe the other night. I enjoyed it. I will say that I grew up as a Star Wars and Transformers guy. Those are the toys that I played with. That's what I collected when I was a little boy. Um, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was there, but for some reason I never just connected with it. I don't know what it was because I used to watch the cartoon, but as far as the toys, I really didn't get into it, and that's sort of where we have to understand where this film comes from. Think back, um, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is a toy line that became a animated show, which spawned a 1987 movie with Dolph Lundgren, and we haven't really had anything live action ever since. Yes, there's been some animated updates. There was the 2002, I believe, from Netflix, and then there was the one that came from Kevin Smith a few years back. Was very controversial, split the He-Man fandom, as you may call it. But here's the thing: there's never really been a resurgence of He-Man since the original toy line. The toy line came back and came out, what was it, 1982? It peaked at around 1987, and that's when the film came out, which was financed by the Cannon Group back then, Golan and Globus, famous for schlocky, quickly made films. The movie actually suffered because the financing wasn't all there. The ideas were there and everything like that, but it steered away from a lot of the things that the toy line and the TV show was about. Dolph Lundgren was good as He-Man in that film. Um, Frank Langella as Skeletor, he knew what he was doing. He ate up the scenery, and you probably enjoy the film for that reason. Which brings us to Masters of the Universe 2026. Well, what do we think about it? Well, again, like I said, I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I went in, not high expectations because I just didn't know what to expect. And after watching the film, come to understand where I could see the divide. I mean, if you're a hardcore fan of the old TV show and the toys, you should be able to get the jokes because I'll tell you right off the bat, it's a very jokey movie. It's got a lot of humor in it, and that apparently has put off a lot of people. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about the situations between Masters of the Universe and Scary Movie for this particular weekend. The story is simple. Prince Adam comes to Earth and he has to find the Sword of Power so he could return back to Eternia. The movie begins with Adam actually discussing and talking about his past and why he is where he is right now on Earth. And it's all while he's on a date. Obviously, after hearing this fantastical story about talking tigers and a man whose face is a skull and all these other different races, of course, any person, any normal person would just think you're crazy and walk away, which is what his date does. But Adam does not let go. Now, the thing is, during this beginning of the story that explains where he comes from and why he must find the Sword of Power, you try to understand. It's like, okay, he was sent to Earth from Eternia 15 years ago. He lost the sword in transition from Eternia to Earth, landed, landed in a lake or a swamp. And then you fast forward to 15 years where he's working for a company and he's a part of the human resources team. Now, the first thing that sort of throws you off is like, okay, who raised him for 15 years? How did he survive in this new world? How did he get past what happened to him on Eternia? And now we're here on Earth. That's never explained. I'm telling you, it just goes straight from Eternia to landing on Earth to 15 years later. Now, the actor that portrays He-Man in this incarnation, Nicholas Galitzine, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, he embodies Adam and He-Man very well. He does it almost effortlessly. I enjoyed how he acted as Adam on Earth, and how he acted as Adam when he was back on Eternia. When he finally becomes He-Man, he also takes that character and makes it his own. The other characters that are introduced, you have Tila, who is the actress's name is Camila Mendez. She was on Riverdale. She did great. Okay. I thoroughly enjoyed her as Tila. I thought she took the character and made it her own. Definitely gave it some weight. She was not a girl boss, as there's been so many complaints now about modern filmmaking and females in certain type of films. I mean, it's like, we tend to forget we grew up in an age where characters like Ripley and Sarah Connor, there was no issues with that. But now it's like you put a woman in a position of power, or a woman that has some strength, and it becomes a girl boss situation. That is what it is. That's what our society's turned into. That's how people feel about it. Look, at the end of the day, if the movie is decent, the story's decent, is it really going to bother you that a woman was the one that was taking care of business? That's a personal thing. Anyway, moving on with the story, basically, like I said, when Adam returns to Eternia, he realizes that for the last 15 years, Skeletor, played by Jared Leto, has just destroyed Eternia. He's made it a terrible place, and all because he's been waiting and wanting to get the Sword of Power. This is again where some of the logic, if you sit down and you start paying attention to all that kind of stuff in the movie, yeah, you're going to see the plot holes coming a mile away. But I went in to watch a film for spectacle. A character from the early 80s that a lot of people that grew up in my age group or younger enjoyed these toys. And again, this is what this movie's about. And it takes that flavor, it takes that idea of these action figures come to life. I mean, the characters that are introduced and how they are introduced and how their names come about is probably, I think, one of the best things about the movie. You find out that Prince Adam, when he was a young boy, gave all these people special names. You have Fisto, you have, Ramhead, you have Triclops, you have Beastman, all these people that you would think would have different kinds of names. But what was the reasoning behind that? Because it was part of a toy line, and it was simple for boys back in 1982 to connect with these characters with the simple names that they had. Man at Arms, okay, who was played by the fantastic Idris Elba. Yes, there was some controversy about his casting because we have a black man playing a red-headed Caucasian male in that came from a cartoon series. You know what? They got one of the best actors that they could for that particular role, and he knew what he had to do. He understood the assignment, and he played it well. There's been some complaints about his story and how they take his arc, his story in the movie. He starts out as a great hero. The loss of Prince Adam, the loss of the sword being taken over by Skeletor, causes him to become a drunk, which then causes his daughter Tila to become more of a man than he was. or that he aspires to be. And that's part of the theme in this movie. It's also a theme with Adam, because in the very beginning, where he's actually talking about Eternia, we get this entire backstory with his father, that his father's not satisfied with him because he's small, he's weak, he's not a warrior, and this bothers Adam tremendously. And obviously he takes all this and he brings it with him when he comes to Earth. So for 15 years, he's been thinking that his father believes him to be a disappointment. That's another point that comes into the movie later on. And it hits home. It definitely hits home. Is there story in this? Is there some type of message, as everything is being talked about nowadays? Everything has a message. In a sense, it does. It makes you understand that the concept of He-Man has changed. You know, it's not just this bombastic guy that comes in and kicks everybody's ass. Now he's a person that will probably speak to you first and ask you, hey, can we come to a common ground? But if you can't agree or you can't come to that common ground, well, it's ass whooping time. And that's what happens. There's some great action sequences in this film. Again, it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's colorful. It is definitely very tongue-in-cheek. If you're not into that, if that's not what you're looking for, you're not going to enjoy this movie. The sad thing about it is the audience I saw it with, there was a lot of joy. There was a lot of clapping. There was laughing. People enjoyed some of the jokes. Not all of them hit. Okay. Again, it's overly jokey, and they probably should have pulled away from that. But the point is, how do you bring in a concept from 1982 into 2026 and make it relevant, or something that this generation or younger children are going to connect with? Do children even collect action figures anymore? I mean, look, we lost Toys R Us several years ago. It was a place that I used to love walking into and seeing what new characters and figures and games were being portrayed. It was almost like, you know, a ride going into Toys R Us. That doesn't exist anymore. Now you have to go to Target or Walmart, and those places have changed tremendously. It's not the same. And very quickly, if something does not sell, they start putting stuff on clearance. And you start hearing about these stories about massive surplus of toys for a particular line. And I know there is a new toy line for this Masters of the Universe film. And honestly, I do not know how it's going to do. I'd be very curious to find out. But the only time will tell. This is only the first weekend for the movie. And sadly enough, it came in at number 2 at the box office, behind Scary Movie 2026, which we'll talk about in a second. Again, going back to Masters of the Universe, is it the greatest thing in the world? Is it reinventing the wheel? No. It is trying to bring in a generation to a character that's been around since 1982. And again, like I said, the 1987 film, it was not successful. It had a lot of problems in production, and it actually was being released at the end of the boom with the toys. The Masters of the Universe line was one of the most successful toy lines ever at that time, but it was like 5 years, and that was it. Yes, you know, Mattel has tried to keep the brand alive over the years. They've come up with different concepts. They introduced the character of She-Ra, okay, which obviously was to bring in the girl crowd, and it was successful. There was, to me, I guess they call it a successful reboot of She-Ra concept on Netflix a couple of years back. Also, I never watched it. I think maybe I watched 1 or 2 episodes. Didn't interest me. I'm not into it. I'm not into She-Ra. And the Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe, again, like I said, just turned everything upside down. And the ideas that were brought into that, making Tila a certain thing, I mean, really trying to take away everything from Prince Adam and He-Man, was not well regarded. So there was a lot of hope on this from certain people. Again, the hardcore fans, they are extremely divided on this. Me as a person that I really did not collect the toys when I was a boy, did watch the cartoon. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. Look, you're either going to like it or you're going to dislike it. It's a fun family film. If you have young kids, should enjoy it. Teenage kids, they may not have any connection to it because, again, today's teenage audience, they are more into video games. They're not into action figures. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I would think that it's more the adults that purchase figures now more than young children. Why? Because we collect them and we like the way they look. We don't even take them out of their packaging, for many of the figures. And you're either going to die on that hill or you're going to keep adding to it, plain and simple. Again, fun movie, had a good time. Jared Leto as Skeletor is hysterical. Alison Brie as Evil Lynn, underused. I didn't really feel that she gave much to the story. The other actors in the film definitely did. He-Man, Tila, Duncan, Man-at-Arms, Idris Elba. They definitely knew what they were doing. The jokes about the names of the characters, like I said, Fisto, Ramhead, they were adult. There are jokes in here that as an adult, you're going to catch them and you're going to go, really? Did they just say that? Did that really just happen? There's a line that Skeletor says to Prince Adam, He-Man, that you're like, what? Again, as an adult, you catch on to them. A kid, I don't know, or that's going to be a question or that you're going to have a hard time trying to answer to your children. Which then leads us to the second film that came out this weekend. So in this box office battle, Scary Movie 2026 came out way ahead of Masters of the Universe. Scary Movie came in at 55 million and Masters of the Universe came in at 29 million. And that's a big deal because one film was made for, I think I heard, Scary Movie was anywhere between 30 to 60 mil, and Masters of the Universe is anywhere between 170 to 200 million dollars as far as what the cost was. So you could see already there that's a huge problem. I mean, probably by the second weekend, Scary Movie probably has already made its budget back at an opening of 55, worldwide over 100. But let's talk about Scary Movie. I've enjoyed the Scary Movie franchise. I enjoyed 1 and 2, like 3 very much too. I thought it was really good. 4 and 5, you could give or take. I don't even remember 4. I rewatched 5 the other night. Not bad, but you definitely saw the loss of the Wayans brothers from the first 2 films. This one, Scary Movie, which is how they have promoted it, because at first it was Scary Movie 6, but they went along the lines of how when Scream came back with Scream 5, they just called it Scream. They never called it Scream 5. And you could see that they really, really stick to that formula. They really go after Scream 5 and 6. Some of those jokes are good, but I'll be honest with you. I watched this movie and I really did not laugh. I got some chuckles. There were some jokes that got me. There were some bits that got me. And that's where it all comes into play. This movie is a bunch of bits that are strung together. There are things that happen in it that you're like, what was the point of that? How does that connect to the plot? Which, in a spoof movie, is there really a plot? And there actually is. I mean, the fact that they bring back the 4 OGs from the first 2 Scary Movies is, first of all, great. Seeing Anna Faris, Marlon Wayans, his brother, Regina Hall, it's great to see them. And what they do is they bring in a new generation. They bring in their kids that are part of the story and now are being hunted by Ghostface. Now, the movie starts like almost all the Scream movies, and also how the Scary movies have developed. They do an opening sequence with a major star who's supposed to get killed. Well, this one had Tiana Taylor from her recent win, a Golden Globe win, one battle after another. And I enjoyed it. It was funny. It definitely takes some stabs at how people feel about African Americans, because there's jokes made about that. And then it's about the fact that she's such a big star that how does Ghostface even think that he can even take her out? I mean, she literally has a group of guys come out of nowhere and beat the shit out of Ghostface, which is a little funny because when he comes up off the floor, Ghostface's mask is all bruised up, broken. He's got punch marks and everything like that. So yeah, that visually funny. And then we jump into what was, I believe, supposed to be a parody of Wednesday, but it doesn't go anywhere. And that's how the film feels. It continues on. It reintroduces these characters to us. You have Cindy's daughter now comes into play, and she's got a boyfriend, which obviously from the beginning is a red herring, just like in any of the Scream movies and also in the Scary movies. But overall, rethinking it and playing it through my head again, I didn't laugh. Again, a couple of bits. There's an ice bit that I thought was funny. The sequence where they integrate sinners into it, that really didn't go anywhere. How do they use like the Art the Clown from Terrifier and Megan from the Megan series? Not great either. I mean, the Art the Clown sequence, I mean, it's more visual gags than anything else. He really doesn't do anything. And the Megan thing, it's the sequence on the train that you've seen in the trailer. So the controversies when the trailers first came out for Scary Movie was that it was going to cross all lines. It was going to be so vulgar. It was going to be so out of control. Barely. I'll be honest with you. It's stuff that we've seen before. It's stuff that, as of now, almost seems like tame. Yeah, there are some people that are going to still have, some issues with the trans and they them, items that they bring up, jokes that they bring up in this movie. And there's even a character that is portrayed that is trans, and they really don't get too much out of that one either. Again, the jokes, the concepts, it seems like it's just, okay, we're going to go here, 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 and here. Even putting in a sequence that is supposed to be a parody of the new Michael film, it just fell flat. It just didn't go anywhere. And it was a throwaway thing because it's literally one character in the hospital watching TV, and this is a trailer for that new movie portrayed on the Jacksons. And well, I'm not going to tell you what the joke is, but it's not that great. It's surprising that you had all this talent, and at the end of the day, it just wasn't that funny. Will they make another one? Yes. After making 55 million and 100 and something worldwide on the opening weekend, it's going to take a tumble the second weekend because the word of mouth has already not been good. People that were looking forward to the franchise, to this installment, just were like, hey, what happened? It's like there was things that should have been in here and they got pulled out because I've seen 2 videos explaining the scenes that were cut out of the film and instead, and other things were brought in. And you're like, why'd they take that out then? Or why'd they get rid of this subplot? Yeah, there's things that were cut out. And it could go back to the fact of the company that's producing the movie, who is responsible for it. It is a Paramount production, which is owned by somebody that has a lot of political ties to a certain president we all know. And I'm not even going to talk about that. I don't care about that. But if you sit down and you analyze it, you start thinking, were these jokes, were these concepts pulled out of there because of these ties now, the political ties that the Paramount company has? We'll never know. Okay. At the end of the day, we want to see a good movie, something that's going to make us laugh, that's something that's going to bring us back to what we used to enjoy. But at the end of the day, Scary Movie, to me, was not it. And this is not going to age well. I mean, I guarantee you by next year, you're going to be looking at this and the jokes in it, you're going to be like, what? And even some of the things that they did touch on are some films that there's one or two, um, bits that they do that are connected to films that probably had a very low viewing. I know about it, and I'll say what it is. It's a bit about a film called It Follows. It's in there. And then there's a bit about Wicked that if you don't pay attention, it'll literally gloss you right over. You won't even notice it. Like if you went to the restroom, or if you put your hand in your popcorn bucket and started eating popcorn, you would. That's how quick the Wicked connection or the joke is. The new cast, they're fine. They're not memorable. And by the end of the film, you will understand why they're not. I don't know what that means for any future sequences. Look, if you're a Scary Movie fan, maybe you'll enjoy it. You have to be hardcore, to be honest, because you have to let go of the fact that it just wasn't funny. It wasn't. It did not live up to the hype, at least for me. And, it is what it is. What's my takeaway from this weekend? Well, Masters of the Universe, I enjoyed it. I will add that to my collection. I will be hoping that there are sequels, and I'll tell you why. There are 3 end credits in Masters of the Universe. There's one right after, even before the credits start, there's a tag with a particular character. The mid sequence, the mid sequence is a direct connection to a possible storyline for the future, who introduces another character that a lot of people in the theater that I was in, they got excited about it. And then the end sequence, I think it's almost obligatory because it's basically letting you know that our main bad guy, Skeletor, well, you have to watch the movie to understand it. But if you're a fan, stay for all the way to the very end so you can see all 3 sequences. That gets me a little hyped up. That makes me like, hey, where could this go? If they fine tune it, if they take out some of the jokes, maybe get a little bit more serious. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. That's where you're either going to enjoy it as a fan or you're going to enjoy it as somebody that's new, to get you on board to this, to this franchise, which seems dead on arrival, especially with the box office. Again, Masters of the Universe, their weekend combined worldwide only came in at 50 million worldwide. Meanwhile, Scary Movie 2026 came in at over 100 for its first weekend. And I don't know. The only thing I could think of, word of mouth, helping Masters of the Universe. I would tell you to go see it. I enjoyed it. It's fun. I think it's a decent family film, unless you pick up on those adult jokes, which as an adult, you're going to pick up on them. Scary Movie, I don't know. Have a couple of shots. If you're a person that likes to get high, I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know if when it comes on streaming. Well, when it comes on streaming, I'll sit down to watch it. Will I put it part of my collection? I don't know. Maybe if it's on a bargain basement bin, or a special deal on online digital. But those are my thoughts. Interesting weekend. It's many other people on YouTube have been tearing apart Masters of the Universe as far as its box office. Not that the movie's bad, but the money that it's brought in, or what the anticipation is. Scary Movie, total opposite. People are disliking the story. Just like, hey, what happened here? We really thought we were going to have something. And I'm going to tell you, I think the trailers give away most of the best jokes, or what most of the movie's about. Because when you see the whole thing, and again, it's like clips put together until you get to the final sequence of the film. And that's where everything gets together. And of course, your craziness about Scream 5 and Scream 6, which they definitely, parody tremendously. They take so many jabs at those two movies, especially the whole ending, that you're like, okay, I get it. But how will this stand the test of time? I don't know. That'll be up to you. This is Angel from Angel's View. Please let me know what you think. Are you going to go see Masters of the Universe? Have you seen it? Scary Movie. Did you think it was funny? Let me know. Like, subscribe, and hope to see you again soon.